Good morning, I'm Harley Schlanger from the LaRouche Organization with your daily video update for August 5th, 2025. The topic today is how to think in a moment of profound crisis. And I'm going to be addressing the pessimists among you. I know you're out there. I see it every day in the comments you post on the videos, emails I get, comments I hear in passing. And you basically say it's your experience that you can expect the worst, and you're a fool to expect something better. Now, I can't convince you to be an optimist. And of course, a part of what I talk about is how bad the situation has become. If you look at the poor quality of leaders in the West, and you take a look at people such as Merz, Starmer, Macron, you can see the buildup for war. You see the economic policies which continue to increase the gap between rich and poor, the green policy which is anti-technology, and so on. You look at the leaders such as so-called leaders such as Ursula von der Leyen, the corruption, the effect of the too big to fail banks and the multinational corporations. And then you look at the U.S. Congress, and you see the corruption of most of the leaders in the Congress, in both parties. Now, remember, Trump ran for president saying he's going to sweep away the power of this establishment. Now it appears that he's again fallen captive to it. I wouldn't say this is a permanent condition, but you look at his support for Netanyahu, and it raises questions about his judgment. Issuing ultimata to Russia involving nuclear weapons, ultimata to India, to Brazil, to the BRICS countries, saying that they have to stick with the dollar when it's clear that the dollar system is collapsing, and that the alternatives that are being proposed, whether it's stable coin, whether it's austerity, IMF, global central bank control, the alternatives are worse. So you look at this, and I agree. It does look hopeless on the surface. And then when you try to talk to people, you often get blank stares or people who are looking at you like, you think you can change this? Well, there's an old saying, it's always darkest before the dawn. So what's the basis for hope? Let's start with a simple statement. We are human beings. Human beings possess a capability for creative reason and the free will to act on it. That's the basis for hope. And that means you can have a process of diplomacy, of negotiations, which can reach agreements for mutual benefit. Now, at the same time, it's clear that without a change, we're headed off a cliff. And whether it's on the military situation, whether it's the genocide in Gaza, starvation in whole sections of the world, it's an essential moment for change. It's a ripe moment. And there are solutions that will work. If we don't try new solutions, it will get worse. So, for example, on the economy, you have to do everything to fight deindustrialization and the anti-science policy of the green transition, the discredited policy of too big to fail banks, of kicking the debt can down the road, using cheap money, quantitative easing to bail out what should be companies that are put into bankruptcy, the moves toward financialization, which is where you try to create new money out of old debt. It's not going to work. Tariff policy, sanctions, doesn't work. So if it doesn't work, the question then is, what will work? And this is where you look at the LaRouche Organization and you see the rich fountain of ideas that are associated with the work of Lyndon LaRouche, which include a reorganization of the financial system based on the principle of physical economy, of applying science and technology to increase the productivity of the labor force, the anti-Malthusian view of LaRouche, which is that people are the greatest resource, not the greatest threat. Now, under these circumstances, you then look at the crisis we're in, And if you've been following the documents being released by Tulsi Gabbard, the declassification of intelligence community reports from the Russiagate, and what you'll see is that the enemies of humanity are in trouble. Clapper and Brennan, for example, are reduced to writing stories regurgitating the old discredited line of Russian hacking and Trump collusion with Putin. The evidence is there. The question is, who will fight to make sure that it's brought to the public square? Now, at the same time, if you look at the global situation, it's the British imperial policies that are the threat. And of course, what was Russiagate? As we point out in our white paper on the Gabbard revelations, it's the long war against Russia of the British Empire, which is responsible for trying to shut down the potential to break out of the old paradigm. And that's why we have a war in Ukraine. That's why we have Netanyahu and his clowns and crazies who are continuing a massacre of Palestinians. So there are British imperial systems, is a British imperial system that's being put in place, that's being continued and protected. But it's collapsing, and the whole world sees it. Even the most pessimistic of you see it. The question is, can it be replaced? And that's the importance of what the LaRouche organization is doing in fighting for the American system. And one perfect example of that is the oasis plan, a strategy which would offer a program of mutual benefit based around a water policy. What's the most obvious need in much of the Middle East? It's water, clean water. There's plenty of ocean water. How do you get clean water? Nuclear power plants that are small modular reactors. These can be built. Instead of going with nuclear weapons, we can use nuclear technology for the benefit of all. So check out on our website the report on the oasis plan. This has to be brought forward now, especially since the alternative is a bigger war and a continuing genocide. So what I would say is check for events in your neighborhood, in your community, peace marches, forums, discussions, opportunities to sit down and talk with people, to take on their pessimism, and to make sure that we do this from the standpoint of taking the enemies of humanity and making them accountable. And that's what the Gabbard revelations give us an opportunity to do. Whether it's Brennan, Clapper, Obama, or more importantly, the British, such as Hannigan, Dearlove, Tony Blair, who came up with the policy and passed it on to the American dupes, we can hold them to account. And at the same time, you can provide a vision for a better future to those who have given up hope. So we're at a turning point in history. And when you come to, as Yogi Berra once said, a fork in the road, take it. That's the best advice I can give you. Take it with a smile and with an appreciation of the potential to activate your imagination and spread that imagination for a better future to those around you who have given up hope. Tomorrow we'll have a webcast with Helga Zepp-LaRouche. I believe she'll be speaking with Larry Johnson, who most of you know, as well as a part of the discussion will be on the anniversary of Hiroshima, the British-induced Harry Truman nuclear strike against Japan 80 years ago tomorrow. So be sure to join us, and then join us this Friday once again for the International Peace Coalition Zoom call. So hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.